all the work that has over the offseason, one of the best things most recently is all to go after Lawrence with Vegas winner Ron Capps.
Well, our most recent winner in funny car, Ron.
But you're so, and you know this more than anybody, you're so into the racing part of it that you don't want to stand back and enjoy it. So, thing for me.
One of the best things about this racetrack is the number of first-time winners.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to the virtual Daytona International Speedway as we get set to kick off a brand new NASCAR season as on-track activity begins here this afternoon as we get set to form the front row for Sunday's 64th running of the Great American Race. It is a beautiful day from Daytona Beach, sunny skies, no chance of rain. I'm Eric Burton here in the broadcast booth, here to call the Daytona 500 pole qualifying session here, live on the 4Y Broadcasting Network, also live on Mark Jeff TV over on YouTube. A new year brings new drivers and new teams, new drivers, team combinations, as well as a new schedule, and that is what we had to bring you, plus a lot more here in 2022. We have 46 cars ready to qualify down on pit lane, and this is the most cars we've had attempt to make the Daytona 500 since 2015 when we saw 49 entries. We have 36 charter teams, 10 open teams, and only 4 will make the Daytona 500 as we will find out which 2 of those cars will make the show today via time trials. Now the first car set to go here in just a moment will be the number 7 of Corey LaJoie. He'll be the guinea pig on track today as his Inspired Motorsports entry will hit the track. But like we said, we have a lot of new changes, new drivers and new places, and let's talk about some of those new drivers and new places as we have one of those guys being a former champ, Kurt Busch, moving over to Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, 2311 Racing. Ross Chastain joins Trackhouse Racing in their second program, teammates with Daniel Suarez. Harrison Burton moving on from Xfinity to Cup, joining the Wood Brothers, running for Rookie of the Year against this guy, Todd Gillen, up from the Truck Series. As well, we have Austin Cindric, the former Xfinity champion, taking over the reins of the number 2 for Roger Penske. The former driver begins a new journey. Brad Keselowski becomes co-owner of Roush Fenway Racing, forming RFK Racing. That is just a couple of the storylines we have as we enter a new season here in the NASCAR Cup Series. The first car will hit the track here in just a moment, but first we're going to take a quick break. But stay tuned as Daytona 500 pole qualifying begins right after the break here on the 4 Broadcasting Network. And there is the first driver to qualify here this afternoon, the number 7 of Corey LaJoie for Spire Motorsports. He'll be making his 7th Daytona 500 start here on Sunday. His best finish 8th in 2020. He was involved in that scary accident on the final lap with Ryan Newman. Had one top 10 last season, finished 29th in points, and it was in the Daytona 500, so he's very good when it comes to these types of tracks. Corey LaJoie, the son of two-time Xfinity champion Randy LaJoie, as the green flag waves for his qualifying run. All these drivers only have one chance to post a lap, so their lap begins as soon as they really leave pit lane, because it's so much more than just going wide open for one lap. You have to have a good launch, exiting pit lane. Have to get up through the gears perfectly. Try to carry as much speed as you can on that apron. And Corey LaJoie, we're going to see what kind of lap he can put down. Cars have not been on track since yesterday's practice. And Corey LaJoie will come off turn number 4 down to the line. And what will it be for driver number 7? And at the stripe, it will be a 49.021 for Corey LaJoie. As we have the 42 of Ty Dillon now on track. Talking about new drivers and new places. Ty Dillon is one of them. Spent many years of his Cup career, actually he spent his entire Cup Series career at Germain Racing until the end of 2020. Found a new opportunity with Gaunt Brothers Racing. Ran part-time a year ago, ran some Xfinity races with Joe Gibbs. And back in the series full-time this season, driving this number 42 car. And a pretty cool story how this all turned out. Ty Dillon was announced to drive the 94 car for GMS Racing. And then over the off-season winter break, Richard Petty Motorsports, they partnered with GMS Racing and basically became Petty GMS Motorsports. So Ty Dillon will be a teammate to Eric Jones. As we have Austin Cindric now on track. Ty Dillon running a 48.841. That puts him a little bit quicker than the number 7 of Corey LaJoie. Austin Cindric on track. Made his Cup Series debut in this race 1 year ago. He was running very well inside the top 15 until that last lap crash. The 2020 Xfinity champion was a couple of inches away from scoring a second title last November in Phoenix. replacing Brad Keselowski in this number 2 Verizon Ford for Roger Penske. A 48.841 it was for Ty Dillon, and Austin Cindric is going to be second fastest, it appears, here on his lap. Slots him second fastest in that Verizon Ford for Austin Cindric. Now we have, like we said, 46 cars here, all trying to make the Daytona 500. We have 10 drivers that are not guaranteed a spot in Sunday's 500. One of them, the 44, this is Greg Biffle back in the series. Great to see the Biff back. We haven't seen him since homestand of 2016. He's ran 2 truck races between today and his most recent Cup race in 2016. Even got a truck win at Texas in 2019. But we haven't seen Greg Biffle compete in the Cup Series in quite some time, and he's getting this opportunity with John Cohen and NY Racing. Pretty cool deal here with put together, as Greg Biffle's going to come across the line, and it appears he will be 4th fastest for this in this number 44 car. That was a 49.122 for Greg Biffle, by the way. Slots him 4th fastest. Kyle Busch now on track, and definitely every year we ask the same question: is Kyle Busch finally going to win that Daytona 500 that's been so close in his hands a couple of times? Just has not been able to get it done. But will this be the year? Kyle Busch, top 5 in practice yesterday, so he definitely does have the speed. Joe Gibbs Racing, they've been very confident in their single car speed here so far this week. They believe they have a shot at defeating Hendrick Motorsports for the pole. We'll see what they have as Kyle Busch, the first of the JGR guys to go out to qualify. And that will be a 48.806 for Kyle Busch. And that will put him at the top of the board with his M&M's Camry. And M&M's also announced just a couple of months ago that they will be leaving the sport after 2022. So Kyle Busch looking for a new sponsor. And that hunt begins right now as we have the 55 on track. How about Josh Williams getting an opportunity to make his NASCAR Cup Series debut with Live Fast Motorsports, a team operated by BJ McLeod and Matt Tifft. This is a second car, teammate of the 78 of BJ McLeod. And Williams, another car that has to qualify or race his way into the show. He spent the last couple of years driving for Mario Gosselin in Xfinity. Moving over to BJ McLeod's Xfinity program this year, and now having an opportunity to attempt a couple of Cup races here. So pretty cool for Josh Williams, who will come across the line, and he will slot in 6th overall. And he is really off the pace too, a 49.806 for the driver of the 55. So Williams not going to be too happy about that lap, as we have the 23 on track now. That's Bubba Wallace. The last time these cars were on a restrictor plate race, it was Talladega in October. And it was Bubba Wallace who picked up the win in a rain-shortened race at Talladega. Into that long losing streak for McDonald's. Finally got McDonald's back in victory lane. That was pretty cool to see. As Wallace, he is the second Toyota to take time. His Toyota teammate Kyle Busch currently the fastest at a 48.806. We'll see what Bubba Wallace can do. This is not a JGR car, but this is basically a alliance with 2311 Racing. And he will slot in, I believe, second fastest with that number 23 for Bubba Wallace. So Bubba Wallace put him second on the board with his McDonald's Toyota. Next up now we have the 78 of BJ McLeod. This is the flagship car for Live Fast Motorsports. Teammate to the 55 of Josh Williams that we just saw a couple of moments ago. And McLeod looking to see if he can at least be a little bit quicker than his teammate Josh Williams. He was pretty off the pace. He ran a 49.806. At the left side of your screen, you see the ticker. It is a little bit slow, but just give it a little bit of time, and it will update as McLeod comes across the line, and McLeod will be 7th fastest in that number 78. A 49.787 for the driver of the 78, BJ McLeod. Currently 7th fastest. The first rookie driver to take time here. Actually the second. Austin Cindric's already been out, but Ty Gilliland. This is a pretty interesting move by Front Row Motorsports, bringing up Ty Gilliland straight from the Truck Series all the way to the Cup Series here in 2022, replacing Anthony Alfredo, who ran a solid year in that number 38 car a year ago. And Ty Gilliland, who has 2 career Truck Series wins. One of them came on the road course at COTA last year. Speedco, the primary sponsor for that number 38 car. Joining the team that won this race a year ago with Michael McDowell, and Gilliland comes to the line. And it will be, it's like a 49.131 for the number 38 of Todd Gilliland, son of former 500 pole sitter David Gilliland. His own father won the pole for this race back in 2007, as we have Christopher Bell, another Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, about to hit the track here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, watching on Twitch, leave a comment. Let me know where you guys are from. Make sure you hit that follow button and subscribe for more content here on the 2022 NASCAR mock season. Christopher Bell on track with his DeWalt Tools Camry. Picked up his first career win right here at Daytona, but it was on the road course. That win that put him in the playoffs. His first playoff appearance a year ago. His second year with Joe Gibbs Racing. His third year in the Cup Series overall. His teammate at the top of the board at a 48.806. But for Christopher Bell, he does go faster. A 48.763. For Christopher Bell, that puts him at the top of the board. So Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, and Bubba Wallace, first, second, and third. As we have the number 27 of Jacques Villeneuve, former F1 champion. This is a new team, one of the many new teams we have down on pit lane. Team Hesselberg. This team put together during the offseason. This team will be running a limited schedule with Loris Heismans, who will make his series debut, I believe, at Sonoma a little bit later on in the year. This team getting their feet wet, trying to get this car in the show, as this is another car not yet guaranteed a spot in Sunday's 500. This is going to be the third of the open cars, so Jacques Villeneuve, if he goes faster than Williams, that means Williams is going to have to race his way in, and Villeneuve slots in 9th fastest for Jacques Villeneuve in that number 27. A 49.741 for the driver of the 27, Jacques Villeneuve. Currently second of the open cars, but on track now, the 34 of Michael McDowell. Nobody walked into the garage area with any more swag than Michael McDowell, except maybe Kyle Larson, but Michael McDowell being the defending 500 champion. That is a pretty cool thing to say if you're the driver of this number 34 car. We saw his teammate Gillen go out just a couple of moments ago. He is currently 8th on the board. We've had 11 drivers go out to qualify. Like I said earlier, the ticker at the left side of your screen a little bit slow. But for Michael McDowell, the Love's travel stops forward, brings it to the line, and he will slot in P5 for Michael McDowell. He becomes the fastest of the Fords. McDowell a 48.844 for a Glendale native. Now we have another of the JGR cars. It's the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. We talked about Kyle Busch and how everybody has been asking, when is Kyle Busch going to win the Great American Race? The same topic can be said about Martin Truex Jr., the former Cup champion, the former two-time Xfinity champion. This guy's won, many races in his Cup Series career, and Martin Truex, but what's crazy is he's never won on a super speedway. He came close to winning this race back in 2016, lost to Denny Hamlin, barely. Right now we had Joey Gibbs racing first and second with her other car, the Alliance car, in third place with Bubba Wallace. And Martin Truex Jr. goes to the top of the board, a 48.663 for Martin Truex Jr. Cole Custer now on track in the 41. Coming off a very disappointing sophomore year for the driver of the 41. Cole Custer and Stewart-Haas Racing picked up that win, that big win at Kentucky back in 2020. Put him in the playoffs, got him Rookie of the Year. He is the first of the SHR cars to hit the track, and they said that they focus more on handling. Trying not to focus too much on speed here today, more on handling for the race. And Cole Custer, and it is definitely going to show on the time sheet, as he is 11th fastest in that number 41 for Cole Custer. Justin Haley, this is a guy who is really good on the super speedways, colleague racing, going full-time this year with two cars. Justin Haley being their primary driver, the leaf filter gutter protection Chevrolet. All of Justin Haley's wins in the Xfinity Series all came on super speedways, since he even won his very first Cup Series race in a dramatic way in the rain-shortened race in 2019, back when he was driving for Spire Motorsports. But obviously Justin Haley would rather get a win the normal way, by taking that checker flag, completing lap number 200, and Justin Haley comes across the line. He will be 8th fastest in that 31 car for Justin Haley. Next up is the 15. This is Riley Herbst, another Ford driver, hitting the track. One of our full-time regulars on the Xfinity Series side. Riley Herbst getting an opportunity to make his Cup Series debut, as well as his first start in the Great American Race. So pretty cool opportunity for Riley Herbst. This car put together, actually, it's really more of a put-together car by Ware Racing with some support from SHR. It was documented over the offseason that Ware Racing will be having a technical alliance with Stewart-Haas Racing here in 2022. So for the 15 of Riley Herbst, gives him a shot to get his feet wet here in the Cup Series as well, as he will come across the line to complete his run. And he will be 13th fastest at a 49.434 for Riley Herbst. 13th quickest on the board for Riley Herbst. We talked about, Joe Gibbs Racing. They believe that they have the speed to capture the pole for the Great American Race on Sunday, but they believe their biggest competition is going to be the Chevrolets from Hendrick Motorsports. And Chase Elliott in this number 9 car is going to be the guy who is going to really give us a good idea on where the speed will be for the Hendrick Chevrolet to Chase Elliott, William Byron, Alex Bowman, and Kyle Larson. Making his way off turn number 4, will he break up the Toyota Parade at the top of the board? He does not, but he does go second fastest at a 48.761 for Chase Elliott. His Napa Chevrolet, the former Cup Series champion. Second quickest for Chase Elliott, as we have Kaz Grala on track now. This is a pretty cool deal put together. The Money Team Racing, owned by Floyd Mayweather. This team was really looked at as a fictional team that nobody really believed existed. And finally, in January, it was confirmed that they will compete in the series this season, with Kaz Grala driving the car here in the Daytona 500, and they will be running. They're going to be running about maybe 7 to 8 races here throughout the course of the year. So for Kaz Grala, the Money Team Racing, they will go 13th on the board with Kaz Grala, and he will beat Jacques Villeneuve's 741. So right now that puts Kaz Grala as the number 2 open car on the board currently, as we have the number 8 of Tyler Reddick, the 2-time Xfinity Series champion, on track now with his number 8 BetMGM Chevrolet. One sponsor you will not see in that car this weekend or really the entire year. Caterpillar, longtime RCR sponsor, not with the team anymore. Tyler Reddick, one of the guys who has never won on the NASCAR Cup Series. That will be, I think, probably the number 1 guy that you got to look at getting his first win of the year. Been so close a couple of times already. And I think as he gets another year under his belt, the more races he does, that win will come for Tyler Reddick in that number 8. And he will be at the stripe 6th fastest for Tyler Reddick, an 8:36 for Tyler Reddick. Next up here is the number 77. This is Landon Castle, Byron Motorsports. His teammate right now, Corey LaJoie, is currently 11th at the moment. He was the very first car to go out to qualify. And now Landon Castle, who'll be competing full-time in Xfinity this year with Colleague Racing. A pretty cool, really good deal for Landon Castle, who has really spent his entire Cup Series career, either starting parking or driving cars that does not have the budget, does not have the funding. But normally he's always been able to overachieve in that smaller equipment. Now he will have a chance to show what he has this season in Xfinity, but also gave him a shot at the Daytona 500, and he will be 16th fastest with that lap for Landon Castle, a 49.411 for the number 77 of Landon Castle. And now we have the number 17 of Chris Buescher for the newly named RFK Racing. Obviously, in my opinion, the biggest move over the offseason was Brian Keselowski stepping away from Team Penske, joining Roush Fenway Racing to become a co-owner and driver, giving a brand new name to the team, RFK Racing, and really nothing has changed when it comes to this 17 car of Chris Buescher, Fastenal back as the primary sponsor. His 7th year in the NASCAR Cup Series. One career win that came back at Pocono in 2016. And at the stripe, Chris Buescher will go 4th quickest for Chris Buescher. Pretty good lap there by the 17 of 48.797 for the driver of the 17, Chris Buescher. He will slot in 4th quickest for Chris Buescher. And now we will have the 24 of William Byron. Right now it is Martin Truex Jr. at the top of the board with Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, and Kyle Busch. Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, and Austin Cindric. Your top 10, Justin Haley, Corey LaJoie, Greg Biffle, Ty Gilliland, and Kaz Grala. Your top 15 at the moment, but this is going to be another guy that is going to be a contender for the pole. The 24 of William Byron, the 2019 pole center, picked up his 2nd career win a year ago at Homestead. His 1st career win came right here in the summer race of 2020. Rudy Fugle back on top of the pit box for William Byron. His teammate Chase Elliott ran a 7.61. Does Byron duplicate that? He goes way better. A 5.43 for William Byron. He goes to the top of the board. His Exalta Chevrolet is now the fastest in that number 24 car for William Byron. He tops Martin Truex Jr. A 5.43 to a 6.69. That is the difference for the pole. As we have another former 500 pole center, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a former Daytona winner and arguably known as probably the most aggressive driver when it comes to these types of tracks. Even though he's very aggressive, though, he is very, very good when it comes to handling the draft, making all these very quick moves in the heat of the moment. And it really gets a lot of people off guard sometimes. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the NOS Energy Drink Chevrolet for JTG Doherty Racing. They went down to one team this year. Will that help him in qualifying? Comes across the line, and Stenhouse goes 4th quickest at a 7.61. That will tie him with Chase Elliott. A 48.761. That is the same lap that Chase Elliott put down, and that will put Ricky Stenhouse 4th, as the tiebreaker will be owner points from 2021. As we have the number 1 of Ross Chastain, the Clover Valley Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing, a new team in the garage area. This is basically, think about it, this is basically Chip Ganassi Racing, the team that he drove for a year ago. Brought back the number 1. Team owned by Justin Marks and Pitbull. And they did a really good job last year, as a first year team. I thought they did very well. They had support from RCR. This is basically, when you think about it, a 3rd and 4th RCR car. And for Ross Chastain, we'll see what he has here in qualifying as he comes across the line, and it will be 49.309. That is not really what Chastain was, I believe, expecting. Chastain will be 19th fastest in that number 1 car for the Watermelon Men. P19 out of 24 cars that have now taken time. Again, the ticker at the left side of the screen, a little bit slow. As we have now the 14, Chase Briscoe for Stewart Haas Racing, another SHR car. His teammate Cole Custer currently 18th fastest on the board. And Chase Briscoe, a new primary sponsor, new colors, a new season. His sophomore year, his rookie year last year, really just did not really go all that well. 23rd in points, 3 top 10s. Wasn't really what we expected after he won 9 times in 2020 in Xfinity competition. But for Chase Briscoe, a new season, starting out fresh. Comes across the line for Chase Briscoe, and he will jump to 17th fastest for the number 14, a 49.281 for the number 14 of Chase Briscoe. That's basically what Cole Custer ran. He ran a 3:01. So Custer and Briscoe pretty close together when it comes to lap time. As we have the number 13 of Stephen Light on track now. This is a second car for MBM Motorsports, owned by Carl Long. Light will be running the full Xfinity schedule for MBM, and opportunity to make his Cup Series return. Has never raced in the Daytona 500, even though he is a former Rookie of the Year back in 2012. The Jenny King longtime partner with Stephen Light brings his Toyota off of turn number 4. He is another car who has to qualify his way into the show or race his way in tomorrow. And Stephen Light comes across the line. The number 13 goes 23rd fastest for Stephen Light. That does not beat Greg Biffle or Kaz Grala, so Light will be one of the guys who will have to race his way in tomorrow. As we had the 48 of Alex Bowman. Another Hendrick Chevrolet, the Ally Chevy Camaro. And this is a pretty interesting stat about Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman this will be his 5th year at Hendrick Motorsports as a full-time driver. In his prior 4 starts, he has sat on the front row all 4 times, including 2 pole awards back in 2018 and last year, 2021. So Alex Bowman, very good when it comes to qualifying for this race. He missed the race. He was kind of ironic to say, because he missed the 500 back in 2015, back when he was still driving for Tommy Baldwin. Right now, his teammate is at a 549 and a 761. And Bowman is going to be a little bit slower, a 790 for Alex Bowman. That will put him 6th fastest in that Ally number 48 for Alex Bowman. 6 out of 27 cars have now taken time, as we have the number 60, the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, returns to the track for what is currently just a 1-race deal in this number 60 car for RFK Racing. When Brad Keselowski became co-owner and driver for RFK Racing, that left Ryan Newman on the outside looking in. And entering 2022, Ryan Newman has no plans in the NASCAR Cup Series at the conclusion of the Daytona 500, should he make the race. But he had pretty good speed in practice. Right now, his teammate Chris Buescher currently 6th fastest. He needs to be a 49.122 in order to, for now, secure a spot in the 500 by beating Greg Biffle. And as he comes across the line, the man with 51 career poles, but never in the Daytona 500, he goes 13th fastest for Ryan Newman. Coca-Cola coming on board as a primary sponsor. They're probably, I think they're going to be happy, because I'm pretty sure that lap could put them in the show. Ryan Newman, a 964, puts the Rocket Man 13th at the moment. And that will bump Kaz Grala out of the top 2 as we take a look here at the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Former 500 winner back in 2007, but he's never been on the front row for the 500 since he joined Stewart-Haas Racing back in 2014. And Kevin Harvick looking to really forget about last year as a whole, because it was a struggle for Kevin Harvick. There was no happy Harvick last season. 9 wins in 2020 to 0 in 2021. Not only did he not win any races last year, he didn't run up front and lead laps like we are so used to him doing. And Kevin Harvick will come across the line, and same story for the Stewart-Haas cars. 17th fastest for the driver of the 4 of 49.046 for Kevin Harvick. That puts him 17th at the moment. Right now, SHR 17th, 20th, and 22nd. As we have Ryan Blaney, the first car of the second of the Penske cars. Austin Cindric right now currently 12th, and Ryan Blaney, who has ran very well in this race, has nearly won this race a couple of times, had the best car here back in 2018. Second place here in 2020. And he won the summer race here last year. So Ryan Blaney has really quietly has become one of the best restrictor plate drivers currently active here in the Cup Series. I think that is just a product of being a teammate to Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, who's also very good on these types of tracks, as well as Ryan Blaney comes across the line. His Menards Ford Mustang goes P16 for Ryan Blaney. So that he's not going to be too happy about that lap, but although we do know, a lot of drivers, a lot of teams, they will bring their car a little bit trimmed out to qualify here, as we do have practice tomorrow. We'll try to, find a little bit more speed here in qualifying, as other cars are going to try to focus more on handling for Sunday's race, as we have Brad Keselowski, former champ, still looking for his first 500, and thought last year it would be the year, until that last lap crash down here in turn number 3 for Brad Keselowski. And it'll be interesting to see what he can do with this number 6 car. This car didn't really perform all that well last year with Ryan Newman. Didn't make the playoffs. Didn't finish. I don't believe this team was top 25 in points a year ago. Keselowski's going to have his work cut out for him as he comes across the line. He jumps inside the top 10. He goes P9. He splits up the Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace Toyota party at the rear of the top 10. P9 for Brad K at a 48.813 for Brad Keselowski. So right now it is definitely a Chevrolet Toyota party at the top, with William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Christopher Bell. Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Bubba Wallace, your top 10. Right now, Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle are currently the 2 open cars in the race at the moment. But we have a lot more left to go as we take a look here at Austin Dillon, the 2014 pole center for the 500, the 2018 race winner. His teammate Tyler Reddick currently at the moment P11. Austin Dillon brings his Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet down to the line, and it will be a very good lap for Austin Dillon, a 48.678 for Austin Dillon. Third fastest for the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. Austin Dillon third fastest, just a little bit shy of that front row. Martin Truex ran a 6.69. Austin Dillon ran a 6.78. As now we have the 21 of Harrison Burton. Talked about him before qualifying began. Full-time in Xfinity the past 2 years with Joe Gibbs Racing, and the plan originally was for him to compete full-time in Xfinity, driving for Roger Penske. But when Brad Keselowski left Team Penske to join RFK, they moved Austin Cindric to the 2 car, and they placed Harrison Burton in this number 21 car. So we're going to be interesting to see how Burton can adapt to these Cup cars, as they are a little bit different from what he's been accustomed to on the Xfinity side. But for Harrison Burton, comes across the line, the 33rd driver to qualify goes 23rd on the board for Harrison Burton. A 49.142 for the driver of the 21. Burton. This is basically a fourth car for Team Penske. And right now, their teammate, Ryan Blaney, 18th. Austin Cindric, 16th. And their other teammate right here, the 22, Joey Logano. The 2015 500 champion. Only one win last year. That was kind of a surprise to me. Logano, of course, he's very, consistent, but he didn't really stand out a whole lot last year. He won that Bristol dirt race, but that was it for Joey Logano. Hoping to find some new success here in 2022, and it begins right here in qualifying, but his teammates currently at the moment outside the top 10. What can Joey Logano do here on his lap time? It will be 21st quickest for Joey Logano, a 49.8087 for the 22. A new crew chief at the top of the pit box as well. Ty Gordon retired from crew chiefing at the end of the season. Logano is going to be 21st out of 34 cars as we have the 16, Daniel Hamrick, the defending Xfinity Series champion, the Poppy Banks Chevrolet Camaro for Colleague Racing. Leaving Joe Gibbs Racing to join Colleague Racing provides him an opportunity to run some cup races here this year, beginning here in the Daytona 500 for Daniel Hamrick. Not only did he score the title in the finale last November, but it was also his very first career win in NASCAR. And no better time to do it than the championship race when a title is on the line. That's what Daniel Hamrick did last year. He'll compete full-time and look to defend his title for Colleague Racing as he brings his Camaro to the line for Daniel Hamrick. His teammate Justin Haley was 17th, but now he's 18th as Daniel Hamrick jumps inside the top 15. P15 for Daniel Hamrick, a 48.869 for the driver out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, Daniel Hamrick. Number 45, a Kurt Busch, his Monster Energy Drink Toyota Camry for 2311 Racing. Another new team in the garage area this year, leaving Chip Ganassi Racing to join this number 45 team. And great to see the number 45 back on track here in the Cup Series as well. We've seen the 45 in trucks. We've seen it in Xfinity. But now we get to see it back on track here in the Cup Series with Kurt Busch behind the wheel, marking his 22nd year in the NASCAR Cup Series. That is pretty incredible for Kurt Busch, as he will brings his Toyota off of turn number 4. The record shows that it could be a good lap because his Toyota teammates are all inside the top dozen, and Kurt Busch goes 9th fastest for the 45 of Kurt Busch, right on top of his little bro Kyle Busch. A 48.800 for Kurt Busch puts him 9th fastest at the moment out of 36 cars that have now qualified, and we have 10 cars left to go as we had the 43 of Eric Jones, the Armor All Chevrolet for Petty GMS Motorsports. It's going to take some time to get used to. Eric Jones for Petty GMS. Spent a couple of years, spent about 3 or 4 years at Joe Gibbs Racing, and unfortunately was let go at the end of 2020. And this race 1 year ago, he was one of those many victims who was caught up in that lap 13 crash. And just like that, his race was over before it got started. So he's hoping that does not find him again this year. Looking to find a little bit more success as well, a little bit more consistent speed. Maybe that alliance with GMS Racing will help them, as it appears it did, as he goes 7th fastest, a 48.777, puts some P7 on the board for the driver Eric Jones from Byron, Michigan. He jumps inside the top 10 as we have now the 99 of Daniel Suarez from Monterrey, Mexico. Trackhouse Racing. We talked about that lap 13 crash that took Erik Jones out last year. It also took Daniel Suarez out a year ago. iFly returning as the primary sponsor. And this team I thought did very well a year ago, as like we said earlier with Ross Chastain when he went out. Trackhouse was formed. We didn't really know what this team is going to be like. Is this going to be a team that can run top 15, or is it going to be a team that can barely run top 30? And they proved very quickly that they had the speed and they had the mission to make this team a championship-winning team. And they got a couple of good drivers in their house right now with Chastain and Suarez, but right now they do not have the speed. Here in qualifying, Daniel Suarez is going to be 29th fastest for the 99. The 99 goes P29 on the board for Daniel Suarez. And I'm looking at the drivers we have left to go. We have about 8 cars left to go. And I'm looking at the guys, and I believe we maybe only have 3 realistic drivers that I believe have a shot at knocking William Byron off the pole. One of them would be Aric Almirola, although his teammates doesn't really help that argument of Almirola being a contender for the pole. Right now, Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Cole Custer, all outside the top 20 currently. But Aric Almirola did qualify 3rd for this race a year ago, and then the one night later he would go on to win his dual race. So Almirola normally has speed when it comes to qualifying, but not sure if this is going to be the year or not that he sits on the front row, and it will not be his year, as Aric Almirola's final start in the Daytona 500, his final qualifying session, puts him currently 18th fastest, the fastest of the SHR cars. But Almirola, who announced during the offseason that he will retire from full-time racing at the end of this year, P18, as we had the 5 of Kyle Larson. On track, the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Larson overcame a lot the last couple of years. Lost his ride with Chip Ganassi Racing, was picked up by Rick Hendrick, and took this number 5 car to 10 wins a year ago, plus the All-Star race, and of course the Cup Series championship last November in Phoenix. Right now, Kyle Larson, his teammate William Byron, is at the top of the board, a 48.549. Larson and next car, Denny Hamlin, I believe, are the only 2 cars left with a good shot at knocking Byron off the pole. And does Larson knock his teammate off? A 48.696. It will not happen for Kyle Larson. He will be 4th on the board, 2nd fastest of the Hendrick Chevrolets, but Kyle Larson will not be on the front row for Sunday's 500. Next up now, we got the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, the final of the JGR cars, and in my opinion, the last car left to go that has, I believe, a realistic shot at knocking William Byron off the pole. And I see that because his teammate Martin Truex Jr. right now 2nd fastest at a 669. His other teammates, Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell, currently 6th and 11th, respectively. And Denny Hamlin, always a contender, and more now than ever, the favorite to win the Daytona 500. He's won 3 500s, 3 of the last 6. It's pretty incredible for Denny Hamlin, who comes to the line. What will he do on his lap? It will be a 48.733 for Denny Hamlin. Not enough for the pole, not enough for the front row, but enough for a top 5 for Denny Hamlin. P5 at a 48.733 for Denny Hamlin. 5 drivers left to go. Cody Ware now on track in the 51. He will be the last car of the charter teams to take a time here, as the final 4 cars after Cody Ware will all be open cars seeking to find enough speed to lock themselves in the Daytona 500. Right now, Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle currently are in 21st and 28th. Remember, the ticker has not updated yet. If you're just now tuning in, the ticker a little bit slow. But Cody Ware in the 51 comes off of turn number 4. Like we said, this team has a alliance with Stewart-Haas Racing. This team went from 4 cars to 2 cars here in 2022, hoping to find more success. And Cody Ware, well, that success is not going to come here in qualifying. 36 fastest for Cody Ware. That Nurtec Ford Mustang for Cody Ware. P36 for Cody Ware. And we have 4 more cars left to go, and here is the number 66, J.J. Yaley from Phoenix, Arizona, driving the number 66 for MBM Motorsports. His teammate Stephen Light currently 39th on the board at the moment, and Yaley, like his teammate, has to qualify his way in or race his way tomorrow. Now remember, even if you're not the top 2 drivers in qualifying today, if you are at least 3rd and 4th fastest of the open cars, you can still possibly make the race on qualifying. It just depends what happens in the duels. And for J.J. Yaley, he comes across the line and he goes 31st fastest for Yaley, a 48.241. So even though 31st doesn't sound great, he will not lock himself in today. If you are 3rd and 4th fastest, you can at least have a little bit more hope at making the race if you can't race your way in. And for Yaley, he comes across the line 31st at a 49.241. As now we have the number 96 of Brandon Jones hoping to make his NASCAR Cup Series debut on Sunday. He has to get this car in the field for Gaunt Brothers Racing. He'll be running his seventh full Xfinity season here this year for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's never been in the NASCAR Cup Series before until possibly this Sunday, if he can race his way in or qualify his way in, but he didn't really have the speed in practice. Not sure how that will translate over here to qualifying, but for Brandon Jones, his team has missed the 500 the past 2 years with Daniel Suarez and Ty Dillon. And he will come across the line, and Jones 37th for Brandon Jones. Definitely not going to be too happy about that lap for Brandon Jones. A 49.327 for the number 96. So they are going to have to do some work and get ready for tomorrow night, as we have the 62 of Noah Gragson, the next on track, the second to last car to go out. And Noah Gragson could lock himself in, or he could officially lock Ryan Newman into the 500. This 62 car normally has some pretty good speed here when it comes to qualifying. This team missed the show, though, last year with Noah Gragson behind the wheel. So, like last year, Gragson attempted to make his Cup Series debut. Now, we always talk about, these guys trying to make the very first 500, but a lot of these guys who are qualifying today, they have never raced in the NASCAR Cup Series before. And for Noah Gragson, does he lock himself in for Beard Motorsports? He does not. Noah Gragson, the number 62, he goes 32nd quickest for Noah Gragson. So he will have to wait it out another 24 hours just to see if he will be racing on Sunday, as David Reagan, the final driver to qualify. This is a 3rd car for Front Row Motorsports. And Noah Gragson's lap did lock Ryan Newman into the Daytona 500. So that number 60 car will be one of the 40 cars on Sunday's Great American Race. So it will come down to Greg Biffle and David Reagan on who will make the Daytona 500 on speed. J.J. Yaley will be one of the top 4 cars in qualifying, so he could fall back on his speed should Ryan Newman race his way in, or Greg Biffle or David Reagan. Who will it be as he comes to the line for David Reagan? Does he lock in or does he have to wait it out? He will not lock himself in the show. He will be 31st fastest at a 48.176. I'm sorry, 49.176 for David Ragan. That will lock Greg Biffle in the Daytona 500 as well. So that will conclude qualifying here, as we are going to get set to look at the results here from Daytona 500 pole qualifying. David Ragan will not lock himself in. That means Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle will be the two drivers locked himself in the show on speed. As we take a look here at the pole, William Byron, we really didn't talk a whole lot about William Byron there at the end of the session, but William Byron secures his second Daytona 500 pole award, edging out Martin Truex Jr. That will be your front row for Sunday's Great American Race, Byron and Truex. And then Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Christopher Bell, Eric Jones, and Alex Bowman, your top 10. And for all these guys further back, their goal now is just to try to get the best starting spot they can for Sunday's race in the duels tomorrow night. Chris Buescher, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Bubba Wallace. Tyler Reddick, Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, your top 18. Daniel Hamrick, Eric Almirola, your top 20. Ryan Newman, 21st quickest. He will race on Sunday. There's Greg Biffle in 28th place. He will also, for NY Racing, that's pretty cool for NY Racing as well. They have never locked themselves in the show on speed before. So that 44 will race on Sunday. Right now, David Ragan and J.J. Yaley, they could fall back on their speed should Newman and Biffle races their way into the show. As for the other guys, they only have one way to make the show, and that is for them to race their way in. Noah Gragson and Kaz Grala, 33rd, 36th, not enough to get them in the show. And as we take a look here at the rest, got some big names though on this page though. Cole Custer, 37th, Ross Chastain, 38th. But you know they'll be at the front when Sunday comes. And then Brandon Jones, Stephen Light, Jacques Villeneuve, and Josh Williams, the other drivers who have one shot to make the Daytona 500, and that will come tomorrow. So they have a lot of homework to do to get their cars a little bit more tuned up, find a little bit more speed to make the Daytona 500. So that will conclude the broadcast for today. Daytona 500 pole qualifying is officially done, and William Byron will start on the pole for the Great American Race, but that does not stop all the on-track activity for the next couple of days, because we have the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Friday night, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, and don't forget the Blue Green Vacations Duels from Daytona tomorrow night here on the 4 Wild Broadcasting Network, as well on Mark Jeff TV over on YouTube. So, thank you guys for joining us here for today's broadcast, and congrats to William Byron. He will start on the pole for Sunday's Daytona 500, and we will see you tomorrow night from the Duels from Daytona.